you love wilderness, you have to love Australia. I mean, take a look at it. It's vast. It's a beautiful continent. I'm going to venture into the heart of some of the wildest places on Earth. Off the beaten track. Oh, what was that? Oh, a big one. Across the remote outback. Into the big blue ocean. And high over the mountains. Well, it should be a great place to look for eagles. With my team, I'm going to discover the incredible life that just thrives here. In all its beauty, variety, I just saw one, and drama. As I travel from the heat of the day... Keep moving now, guys. Keep moving back. ...to the cool of the night. This is one of the most incredible sights in nature. Across the epic landscapes of the Australian wilderness. Australia is beautiful and 1/5 of the world's landmass. I'm heading to the wild jewel in its crown, Kangaroo Island, Australia's third largest island, just off the coast from Adelaide. What an incredibly peaceful place this is. This is an island just off the south coast of Australia called Kangaroo Island. I've come here because if there's one place in Australia you can really feel like one of the first Europeans to arrive on this continent, it's here. This island's isolation has protected its wildlife, and many iconic Australian species thrive here. Kangaroo Island got its name at the dawn of the 19th century. It was named by Matthew Flinders, who's one of my favourite explorers. He arrived here in HMS Investigator. They came ashore and they found several things. They found an abundance of kangaroos and no signs of Aboriginal people. And there is the key to the secret of Kangaroo Island's wildlife. Native species and no predation. Without people to hunt them and predators to eat them, the wild animals on Kangaroo Island have had a chance to flourish. Now I'm going to travel right across the island, discovering the wildlife of this mini Australia. This is a rough impression of Kangaroo Island, and at the moment I'm up here in the north of the island there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a journey down into the southwest corner, because what's really interesting is that more or less a third of the island in this southwest corner is pristine, protected wilderness, just as it would have been back at the turn of the 19th century. My journey starts at the top of the crumbly cliffs behind the sandy beach. So it's a scramble to the top, to the gentle puzzlement of some of the island's inhabitants. These sooty kangaroos are unique to the island, and like all kangaroos, are the only large animals to travel by hopping, using their extra strong hind legs and springy tails to cover long distances. They waste no time in bouncing over to greet me. And joining their welcoming committee is farmer Paul Stanton. Hey, Paul.
Hello, Ray.
How are you?
Not bad, how are you?
Good.
You had a bit of a hike up a hill.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm quite astonished how tolerant these kangaroos are.
They're beautiful, aren't they? We bought this land about 30 years ago and it was just covered with rock everywhere, and I spent years down here just picking stones, and these little chaps watched and watched and watched, and we became more trusting of each other all the time, particularly these guys.
Hello. Look at this one, it's so curious. They're very charismatic. Hello. Your family goes right back, doesn't it?
Yes,
Into the
it
early
does.
days. How did they come to be in Australia?
They were convicts. Mum's side got picked up in Cornwall for talking back to a policeman.
And they sent her to Australia?
7 years she got.
Wow.
He got caught stealing some bread. And they were both from Cornwall. They both got 7 years. They met here in Australia, and that was the beginning of Mum's side of the family.
And they stayed here?
This mob has known Paul for over 30 years, and now wherever he goes, they follow. It's a very special and slightly unsettling encounter, like finding yourself in the middle of a herd of gentle cows. But thankfully, they still can't climb into a car. So I'm continuing my journey across the island on my own. Kangaroo Island is about 150 kilometres long, and it's hugely varied. The north coast has wide sandy bays, while the south coast is protected by giant limestone cliffs. But the interior of the island is surprisingly tranquil.
I'm heading into the centre of the island, and already I can see the landscapes change. You've got a lot of she oaks here, these low trees. I'm hoping to meet a lady who is a specialist in the conservation of a very rare bird that's found here and nowhere else in Australia. Something I've never seen before, and I'm very excited to see today.
I'm in search of the South Australian glossy black cockatoo. It used to be abundant on the mainland, but today it's only found in the wild here at Lathami National Park. It's extremely rare, and so conservationist Harlea Beres offers my best chance of finding it.
Because this is such a sensitive bird, Carly's asked us to go with a very stripped down crew, just essential personnel.
We're heading deep into the park, and Carlea has already spotted a sign that means we're close to the glossies.
So quite often we'll actually find these amazing tail feathers. So the birds lose their tail feathers every year when they molt. So that's a female tail feather. The females actually have these stripes, and they quite often have edges of yellow. This one's not as in good nick.
Oh, and is that the male then?
This is the male. So what actually happens is all the young birds start off with a barred tail.
Okay.
And then as they mature, the females keep the bars, but the males actually lose them and just become red.
The reason why this bird is so rare is because it's a very fussy bird. It feeds only on drooping she oak cones and nests only in large gum trees. Lathami has lots of she oaks, but because of forest clearance in the 50s, the gum trees are not yet big enough to have formed the hollows the birds need to nest in. Carlea and her colleagues have come up with a plan.
We've gone around and put up 130 artificial hollows. We're actually making these really nifty little nest boxes out of PVC stormwater pipe. We pop them up in the tree about 15 metres high, and the birds are actually selectively using our nest boxes over natural hollows now.
So why have you put the wrinkly tin around the base of the tree?
Well that's our possum protection. So they're a natural predator of glossy black cockatoo eggs and chicks. They were actually eating that many eggs and nestlings that only about 1 in 5 nests was surviving to fledging.
So you put the tin on there to stop them climbing
so
the tree?
We put the tin around the bottom of the tree to stop the possums climbing up, and then we actually get up in the tree and we prune all around the tree so possums can't jump from adjacent trees.
Yeah.
Carlea is using an ingenious solution to check the nest boxes.
Carly's going to use her handy device there to look inside the nesting box to monitor the progress of a chick that's in this nest box. Okay, there you can see Carly's already looking quite small down here. But another foot, Carly. Nearly, yes. Have a look at this. Isn't that amazing? So just the one chick.
One chick a year. Yeah.
Hence the vulnerability.
Yeah, so that one would be about 6 to 7 weeks old, this nest should be, and it takes about 12 weeks for them before they're ready to leave the nest. Come down this way. Sounds like some birds coming in now.
A short while later, the adult birds put in an appearance.
That's amazing. Look at that.
There's a pair.
Yeah.
So
I
the
think that's the
male-
female down below.
Yeah, so I think the
see
female's on the
female.
left.
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Big, big bill. That's a very powerful bill.
Yeah, so they've actually got a different shaped bill to all the other cockatoos, specifically adapted just to eating she-oaks.
That is beautiful.
So they tend to pair up for life. So can you see the yellow on the female's head there? You can quite often tell a female apart because the males will never have any yellow on them. And we think every female actually has an individual facial pattern, so we can actually tell them apart from each other.
That is fantastic. It's the first time I've seen a glossy black cockatoo. I have to say, it's spectacular.
In 1995, we only had 158 birds left in the entire population. We're now, with our management, which is putting up the nest boxes, protecting them from possums, and planting more she-oaks, we've got them up to 373. So we've over doubled the population in 22 years.
That's brilliant. And
Yeah.
is there a chance then they'll go to the mainland?
That's what we're hoping. We're really hoping.
That's brilliant. Well, that was fantastic. When you think that the numbers have doubled through the efforts of committed conservationists, it really is a message of hope. That was a brilliant end to a day on Kangaroo Island.
Yesterday, I explored the north coast of Kangaroo Island. Today, I'm heading south, where the island takes the full blast of the weather from the Southern Ocean. But in the early morning calm, the island's interior is a peaceful haven for the wildlife that thrives here.
Well, it's a lovely morning, and I'm down in the southwest corner of the island competing with the wildlife. This is the wildest part, and so there's great potential for seeing all sorts of things here. But I've given myself a bit of a challenge today because the thing I'd really like to see here is an echidna. And that's a very difficult creature to find. They're incredibly elusive. They've got good hearing, they feel vibrations, and they're very well camouflaged. So it isn't going to be easy.
Echidnas are also known as spiny anteaters. Peggy Ritzmiller has spent the last 30 years studying them in the wild.
Hey, Peggy.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm just sort of doing my normal scouting.
This is the haystack.
They are one of the most elusive creatures on Earth. And there's several reasons why echidnas are so difficult to find. They have these huge pads in their front feet, and they can sense vibration.
Yeah.
So that's, of course, how they find their food sources. And not only that, they have very, very sensitive hearing as well. So their whole body is like a receptor for sound. Look at all this area. You can see where all the old echidna digs have been.
Yeah.
That means echidnas are definitely in this area.
It's great coming out searching for echidnas with Peggy. You can tell she's a top naturalist because she has this quietness and this stillness as she's walking around and she's looking at everything. It's brilliant. This is going to be a good day.
This is one thing I really didn't expect to see. It's a Rosenberg's goanna, a kind of monitor lizard that is unique to Kangaroo Island. It thrives here because it has no predators, and it happily comes out in broad daylight to hunt and forage for food. Peggy suggests we head to different terrain, where the echidnas might be venturing out into the open. Our plan pays off.
Echidna, up here. You see where the dead branches are? It was going left to right up there, but it was walking quite fast. was about this size. I've seen an echidna. I saw it, it was about 200 metres away. There it is still, right on the edge of the tree line. I see it. Quite light coloured, like buffy coloured spines. But it's up there, where those gum leaves are coming down. It's there somewhere.
Beautiful. See how the hind feet point backwards?
Yeah.
Almost invisible against the carpet of dried leaves and twigs, this little creature is an adult echidna. At the moment, it's using its long tongue to feed on termites, and it's too busy to have noticed us.
Their beak works like a crowbar, and they can actually flip things 6 times their own weight.
Wow.
The echidna is the only mammal that has a true beak, and the lower jaw are like tuning forks, and when they put them on the ground, they also sense vibration.
Amazing creatures.
Yes.
Unusually for a mammal, the echidna lays eggs. It's a very rare living bridge between reptiles and mammals.
They've been on the planet about 120 million years.
Amazing.
So when you're seeing an echidna, you're seeing one of the oldest surviving mammals in the world. So you're seeing something very special.
What a privilege. That's great. It looks like a giant sweet chestnut husk disappearing into the woods. It's fantastic.
Faced with danger, echidnas have 3 options: to run away, dig, or curl up into an impenetrable, spiky ball. True to form, Peggy dives into the undergrowth and emerges a few seconds later, holding the echidna in her bare hands.
It does take some practice picking them up. Echidnas do have very different personalities. This one seems to be a bit shy.
Peggy, it's brilliant. I mean, I've always wanted to get this close to an echidna because they're such an unusual creature. And this has been, well, it's fantastic. But we had to work for it, didn't we?
Well, I still think you're very lucky. I always tell my people who come out in the field with me that sometimes it takes 300 hours of searching before you find an echidna.
I saw a tiny movement, but it was a movement that registered in my peripheral vision. We have the ability to see full colour and full detail in the central part of our visual range. And then if you blot that out, you're left with this peripheral part of your vision, which enables you to see partial colour, partial detail, but movement very well. With practice, you can use your peripheral vision and your focus vision simultaneously, and that's what you want to get to. But it's not something you do instantly. It takes years of constant repetition, practice, and eventually it becomes a very powerful tool.
Leaving the echidna behind, I continue my drive south towards the coast.
As you can see from the change in vegetation, I'm deep in the southwest corner of the island. And my plan is to drive until the roads run out and then finish my journey by walking to the coast. Should be good.
One of the great things about any journey in Australia, and Kangaroo Island in particular as it's turning out, is that you've got to be prepared for the unexpected. This koala normally lives high up in the gum trees, but here, because there are so few predators, seems happy to chill out on the ground. I've reached the Flinders Chase National Park on the south coast. Here the forest gives way to windswept heath, running along the top of towering granite and limestone cliffs. As I pick my way along the headland, I can see the full force of the Southern Ocean as it batters this majestic coastline.
Well, I'm on the last leg of my journey now, and it's nice to have come out of the woods and to get a bit of a more open view. To come up on top of the cliff, and to look down on the ocean. There's always good opportunities to see marine wildlife in places like this.
I'm heading down to the cliff edge to meet up with my wildlife cameraman, Martin, who set off ahead of me in search of a fur seal colony.
There you are, Martin. Let me guess, a seal colony.
There is, and they're just sheltering in a cove down there, but they are just taking a pounding.
That is quite something, isn't it?
Fur seals have large shoulders that support strong front flippers. They look comical on land, but these flippers and their torpedo-shaped bodies make them incredibly powerful swimmers, easily capable of handling the fierce tides on this side of the island.
Whoosh. There's no respite at all. You know, he gets knocked down, comes up, grabs a breath and is inundated just again. Wow. They are powerful animals in the water though.
Very tough, really are, with all these elements.
And there he goes. A sense of little bit of relief in that. There you go. Now I can see the end of my journey. That's those rocks on that headland over there. Those are the remarkable rocks.
What makes these rocks so remarkable is the way their granite form has been eroded by wind and rain for over 500 million years. Perched 200 feet above the ocean and sitting atop a giant dome of lava, they wouldn't look out of place in a sculptured gallery.
Well, this is it. This is the end of my journey. The next stop would be Antarctica, because this is the very southwest corner of Kangaroo Island. You know, when I came here, I had some reservations. I didn't know quite what to expect. But this island has really surprised me. It's its island isolation that is its secret. That's why so much has been preserved here in such a pristine state.
A rare and remarkable island indeed.